President. I'll make this very brief. Jim Havey is our speaker today of Havey Productions. Excuse me, Jim has spoken here several times. First time was in the mid-90s when he was commissioned by United Bank, now Wells Fargo, to do history of Colorado. Then he spoke 2 or 3 years ago on history of Denver, Queen City of the Plains. And I'm honored to tell you that he has just been awarded by the Wyoming State Legislature to weave Jim Owens' 10 cowboy ethics points into their culture and into their advertising, into their status. So that's quite an honor for Jim. Today we're in for a trip through Denver Union Station, a portal to progress. Help me welcome Jim, please.
Thank you so much, Bill. It's always a great treat to be here at Denver Rotary. Bill actually missed one other time. We also showed a film called Colfax Avenue, Main Street, Colorado back in 2000. So this is really the 4th time that I've been here. And it's thrilled to be back, and it's thrilled to see so many friends in the audience. And I'm going to make my remarks very brief because what we have today is a 30-minute version of a 40-minute film. And this was our PBS version. This showed on Rocky Mountain PBS throughout Colorado about a month ago. And it's Denver Union Station, Portal to Progress. We produced this with the help of the Colorado State Historical Fund, which is Colorado's most incredible asset. If you don't know about it, you probably aren't traveling around Colorado because their signs are all over preserving buildings and communities and public places. I think I'll have to stop there. This may run over. This is going to run over just a little bit past 1 o'clock. I know everybody needs to get going at 1 if you have to go. I certainly won't take offense if you have to get up and leave. We're going to cut the sound when we run the credits at the end. If you want to take a look at who our sponsors are, the people that made this possible, please do that. And I hope that you enjoy this and that this helps to deepen people's appreciation for the history of Denver. It's really one of our grandest historic buildings, and probably, I think, the most significant historic building in Denver because it was at the focal point of everything that happened in Denver and what made this city what it is. So I hope that you enjoy this Denver Union Station for this process. Thank you.
What do we want with this vast, worthless area? To what use could we ever hope to put these great deserts, those endless mountain ranges, impregnable and covered to their very base with eternal snow? Mr. President, I shall never vote 1 cent from the public treasury to place the Pacific Coast 1 inch nearer Boston than it is now. Senator Daniel Webster.
On the eve of the Civil War, the average American had traveled no more than 5 miles from their place of birth. And the idea of settling the Trans-Mississippi West was little different than the notion of colonizing the moon. Shortly after the war ended, these assumptions and doubts were carried away in a cloud of smoke, surging from the stack of a steam locomotive. The building of the American Railway Network completely changed the country's conception of time, space, and destiny. In 1861, there were approximately 20,000 miles of track, with passenger service limited to major population corridors. By 1868, the American Rail Network had doubled in size and accounted for nearly half the track laid in the world. The following year, on the arid plateau of Promontory Summit, Utah, a landscape that epitomized the image of a barren wasteland formerly associated with the West, Leland Stanford of California hammered home the last spike of the Transcontinental Railroad. Telegraph wires along the rails carried the news instantly from San Francisco to New York. Suddenly, the American West, an undeveloped area so vast that all of Europe could fit inside it, could be traversed with the rest of the continent in as little as 7 days.
It annihilates what had been apparently insurmountable distance. It saves enormous amounts of time. It enables people to haul minerals, agricultural produce, and people less expensively and more rapidly than any machine or any system of transport in history up to that date. The sheer size of the railway, with its engineering constructions, its bridges, its fields, its tunnels, it was the greatest engineering work yet on the planet.
Enticed by swift, affordable railroad passage and prolific promotion, wave after wave of immigrants came west. The migration that started 10 years earlier with the Pikes Peak Gold Rush and American Homestead Act intensified, while the great tribes of Plains Indians saw their ancestral lands and sacred customs rapidly slipping away.
Native Americans had already been suffering a lot of displacement, cultural and physical destruction, and we think progress is always good. But to Native Americans, progress meant destroyed cultures, we lost tribal nations, we lost languages, and we lost Native Americans. Millions of them paid the price of this thing that we're calling progress.
But much of the country believed that God himself had ordained the domestication of vast wild lands as the manifest destiny of a superior civilization. By 1890, the American frontier, considered just one generation before as inaccessible, had effectively ceased to exist. Standing in its center, on a site